Welcome to Kunichi Expert Talks, where we share actionable insights on how to scale tech businesses the ninja way, smart moves, and real results. Today, we're going to talk about one of the most asked topics in B2B marketing, which is how to make Google and LinkedIn ads really work. And we'll talk about what has changed in the past, what is still working now, and what every marketer should keep in mind moving into the next year. I'm here with Stefan today. We've been working for the past 4 to 5 years in different tech projects, and we wanted to share with you some of the strategies and best practices that we both learned from successful projects and that you can already apply 2025, but most importantly, moving into 2026 for your LinkedIn and Google Ads campaigns. Stefan, would you like to add anything to that short intro?
Yeah, thank you, Sophie. So Stefan here, senior marketer focused on B2B lead generation, mostly Google Ads and LinkedIn ads. I also do a bit of email funnels, and I've been working independently for the past 5 years with clients across Europe, across all sorts of industries. And before that, I worked in marketing for tech startups. And all of that experience really shaped now how I approach growth and performance today.
Yeah, thank
I'm
you
really
for
happy
for
to
that
join you
for that intro.
on this talk.
Yeah, I'm excited as well. I mean, Stefan, you're a really expert in performance marketing, and you've been working for Kunichi in the past years. So, what is it that you have seen change most? I mean, we're talking about Google and LinkedIn. So, what's like the
Yeah.
biggest changes in the recent years?
Yeah, so if we really focus on B2B lead acquisition, I think the biggest change that I've seen is how much more competitive it got and data driven. So, LinkedIn and Google Ads have gotten a lot more expensive and also sophisticated. So you really need to focus on precise targeting, really good creatives that's going to cut through the noise. But at the same time, content and nurturing have become absolutely essential. You can't just rely on a single ad or cold outreach. You know, businesses in general, they need multi-touch strategies combining ads, email, and personalized campaign to actually generate quality leads. Another trend that I've seen is ad platforms are getting really automated, and they're pushing as well the AI to basically take over parts of the marketer's role. So, it's great for newcomers, for novices users. It's mostly great for their spend. They're most likely going to spend pretty quickly their budget with very little control over the strategy and how much they spend every day, and also even potentially the audience. And for us, experienced marketers, it means you have to work harder to stay in control and making deliberate choices about targeting, creative, funnel strategy instead of just letting the platform dictate the spend. So yeah, we've now have to be a lot more careful
Yeah.
about the platforms wanting to take over our jobs.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have those recommendations, which at first sight seem smart, but then, yeah, it's like if you don't pay attention, you quickly apply a budget increase of like 30% without
That's it.
noticing. So, yeah, exactly. You have to be a lot more careful on which recommendations you actually want to apply. So,
That's right.
just like following up on that topic, do you think B2B marketing has become harder or smarter? What do you think?
Yeah, I'd say it's both. Actually, just lead generation in general has become a lot harder, like we said, right? Competition is higher, ad costs have gone up. And what we just said, the platforms are pushing automations that are trying to take the control away from us. But it's also becoming smarter, right? There's a lot more data available to us, a lot more sophisticated targeting to really get into the nitty gritty of your audiences, much better ways to also nurture and convert the leads. So we have to be a lot more hands-on. And if we want to see results, we have to be a lot more hands-on, and also not rely on one-off tactics to hoping that Google Ads or LinkedIn Ads will just figure it out for you. That's just we can't do that anymore.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's not like this one secret best practice that makes the
No,
magic. You have to do like testing, iterations, and sometimes things that worked half a year ago don't work anymore. So you have to constantly
absolutely.
adapt and
You do
innovate,
need to spend
right?
time. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Mm.
So let's talk about one of the classic questions we get often asked by clients. Where should we put the money? Where should we start with our budget, Google or LinkedIn? What do you think? Where should companies
Yeah.
start and where should they scale?
Yeah, I wish we could just give, a simple answer, but actually it really depends on what the companies are trying to achieve. I think it's, we're a lot to know that now, but if there is already demand for the product, Google Ads is usually the best place to start, simply because you're capturing the intent directly, right? People are already searching for either products related to what you're offering, and therefore you can place yourself there. But if the product is completely unknown, and the goal is to create demand or to reach people who might not even know that they have the problem that you're trying to solve, then LinkedIn is great. It's great for awareness, but it's also great for lead generation via gated content. Another factor is the company's website. If it's well set up with landing pages and forms to capture the leads, then Google can work really well. But say if you're a younger company, if you're just starting and the website isn't quite ready, then LinkedIn can become, it can be a lot easier, simply because, for instance, it has the built-in lead capture tools, and people don't need to leave the platforms.
Right.
So yeah, depends.
Yeah, it's not an easy question. Usually, we recommend companies to test out both and combine them, because
True.
the nature of the channel, as you said, is completely different. Google is about capturing the intent. It's about trying to get those people who are already actively looking for a solution, and LinkedIn is more to create that demand, that awareness around the product, around the pain points, and that you have a solution for that. So, what do you think is the best strategy here on how to balance out budgets, especially when budgets are maybe a little bit tighter or they have a small team, little resources? Like, what can we offer clients there?
Yeah, and actually, it's a case that we often see, right? We like to clients who have, pretty, small budgets and very tight restrictions, and we're known to work cleverly around those restrictions. It's about prioritizing and being very efficient with the budget. So we usually recommend to start with the channel that aligns most closely with the immediate goals, and depending as well on the assets that the businesses have. But if the audience is already, actively searching for the solution that the client offers, and that the client has landing pages, for instance, then we're going to focus on Google first. But if we need to build awareness, or if the website is not fully set up, then LinkedIn built-in lead generation tool can be a much better starting point. But in general, like you said, Sophie, we try to basically use both. They complement each other. Capturing the intent of Google and educating, nurturing audiences with LinkedIn.
Right, right. So let's talk about each of the channels individually, do like a little deep dive, and let's start with Google
Yeah.
first. So what do you see are the winning best practices here for B2B marketers that they can apply?
Yeah, so there are a few strategies that are standing out. The first one is using customer match, from the CRM. It basically lets you target the right decision makers and directly, and run account-based campaigns focused on high-value companies. Remarketing, we've all heard about it before as well, so that's another must. Simply because B2B buying cycles are long, and people often need multiple touch points before converting.
Mm.
Another quite neat tool from Google Ads is the lead form extension that is available through Google Ads. Basically, you can directly, have all the potential customers' information filled in directly from Google search, basically. So it's great to capture interest without sending people off to the website.
Yeah, that would be a little bit like the high level. Are there any like specific strategies on keyword bidding, match type, segmentation, campaign structure, or creatives that you can share?
Yeah, so it's really about targeting the right intent and structuring the campaigns carefully. So you're asking on the keyword side. I mean, I think it's a given by now, but definitely long tail specific search terms. For instance, enterprise, software type solution for the industry that the company is working for. So really being super precise, only phrase match, even exact match, right? With a lot of people are starting to say that exact match is the new phrase match. So we've got to be really careful here. Another thing that we can do is, have the campaigns properly separated by intent stage or product vertical, just to allow to tailor the message a lot more precisely and optimize the budgets for each segment. And when it comes to ad copy, always very clear ad copy, benefit driven, highlighting the business's impact, addressing the common pain points, and always, very specific call to actions. And just like LinkedIn, testing multiple variations, responsive search ads are doing pretty well. And, it really helps you basically at the end decide also which message resonates best with the different audiences that you're trying to target. So it's
Yeah, and
also a
also
learning tool, right?
right, it's a learning. And also when you look into the actual search terms people are looking for when you have your campaign set on phrase match, then you see what people are looking for, and then you can also add exclusions that are not relevant. If you have a free trial, but you see a lot of people actually then dropping off, maybe you want to even exclude the free from the search because
Absolutely.
yeah, you might get a lot of free trials then, but then they're not converting later for ongoing clients. So it's also understanding a little bit the user behavior through the searches, and knowing exactly what the user is actually looking for. So you can also fine tune on what you're just saying, like on the creatives, on the segmentation, and then on the campaign structure, the high intent and the lower intent keywords.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. So let's move into the LinkedIn deep dive. LinkedIn has changed a lot over the last years. I
For
remember
sure.
when I started, compared to Meta, it was always like 5 steps behind, and also even compared to Google, just the platform.
Yeah.
Now it has really like stronger formats, smarter algorithms, also segmentation options, and the focus of this channel has become more and more about storytelling, branding. Also, like I would say it's a classic B2B channel, like as a social media tool, but I see more and more formats also from the B2C side. So it becomes a lot more original, and the creative part is luckily improving a lot. So yeah, what's your main take on LinkedIn, and what do you see there? What's working good?
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned the B2C because actually, I think we have to stop considering LinkedIn as a pure professional network. It really became a social network. I think people have a tendency to spend time outside of their working hours on LinkedIn. So I think this is where also the opportunity for B2C is coming from. But if we were to go back on B2B, definitely the main advice that we always give is to start by building awareness before jumping into lead generation. Uh, we're trying to basically use low cost campaigns to promote ungated content. So, things like blog posts, short videos, if you have videos, infographics, we're trying to build an audience based on the ad engagement and the clicks that we're going to have through these awareness campaigns. So we're basically going to try to collect clicks at a much lower cost than if you were directly promoting lead gen, basically lead gen documents. And yeah, once you build that warm audience, we can retarget them with more focused offers such as, guides, how-tos, industry insights that speak really directly to their pain points. And then later on in the funnel, we'll use things like, demos, webinars, case studies. Once, the users already know the brand and are a bit more familiar with the product that you offer, basically.
Yeah, totally. I remember talking to several clients who want to start directly with demo ads on LinkedIn, and sometimes the client they want to do something, and then I mean, yeah, sometimes you roll with it, but nowadays I can definitely say no demo
Yeah,
ads as a first campaign because it's the nature of the channel. You first have to create this awareness to educate them, to inform them about
absolutely.
how your solution will solve their pain points. And if you just like put a demo ad in their face without having warmed up the audience, they
Yeah,
were like, why should I book the demo? Why should I care about this? So it's really
yeah,
understanding also
exactly.
the funnel.
That is the main difference with Google Ads, right? Is you need to
Mm.
have that funnel on LinkedIn. Unless you only do retargeting on a very warm audience, it's the main difference with Google Ads is you need to nurture your audience a little more.
Yeah, and also here a classic question like, how long do we have to wait until we see results, right? Like sometimes, well, it's months, it's years, even because the
Yeah,
nature of a product might be just like a really long sales cycle. And yeah, I mean, I understand that a year time, if if we start now, is a long period, but you can't accelerate the funnel. You have to do the work before, so otherwise people won't go to the demo or won't go to that
yeah,
bottom of the funnel conversion campaign.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, and also here, like, can you share any specific tactics in the channel that you see are working and maybe a little bit underrated, even also looking for 2026? What do you think like will be really like going to perform well?
Yeah, I mean, I can't really see in the future. I wish I could, but already what I'm seeing developing throughout 2025, and I feel like will be big in 2026, is video, but not just video in general, video with really authentic human voices. We're talking about a person like what we're doing right now, really talking to the camera and having short, unscripted, really clips with real people sharing their insights or experiences. I feel like we have to stop now with all these motion design sort of corporate videos. The same way that when you and I think everyone will recognize themselves in that, and we scroll through our feed on Instagram or Facebook or even TikTok, the videos that will usually stop will be someone speaking to the camera, looking at the camera. And what I said before is that we have to consider LinkedIn as a social media platform like any other.
Hmm.
So there's no shame in doing a vertical video, speaking to the camera directly.
Yeah, don't use your
Um,
AI avatar on that. Use yourself.
unless it starts to get really good, but we'll see. We'll see in the future how
Yeah,
that
you have to
changes.
train it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, another prediction maybe that I have is that we'll see a lot more AI driven audience building. LinkedIn at the moment it's not really good. So if you were on LinkedIn and just tell LinkedIn, can find me the right audience, it's not so great. But for companies that are starting out and that don't have a very precise sort of customer target that they want to have, it happens right when you're at the very beginning. Then I feel like LinkedIn is going to get a lot smarter at finding potential lookalike prospect based on also if you connect your CRM tools or if you have previous LinkedIn data based on your uh, LinkedIn company page. I feel like they're going to get a lot better in really understanding and suggesting uh, the right audience for your business.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And we already spoke about things companies should avoid, like running demo ads directly or, match types, broad keywords, better do phrase match or exact match. Are there any other errors, mistakes that companies should avoid when running LinkedIn and Google ads?
Yeah, there are probably a few. One is wanting to run ads, but not having enough content. We see that very often. Companies come to us and, they want to run ads tomorrow. But when we start investigating about, okay, what are we going to promote? Then, they usually fall short on that end. So, we're talking about documents, images, videos, blog posts. We need that in order to get started, unless we only do Google ads. But on LinkedIn, we mentioned it quite a few times, it's a very visual platform. We need something that will just attract and stop the user from scrolling on their phone. Another issue that we're seeing as well, so maybe more traditional marketing, more traditional B2B companies that haven't explored a lot of different marketing avenues, is being a bit more reluctant to use videos. I think, companies that are reluctant to use videos really shoot themselves in the foot, especially, on LinkedIn. It really limits the engagement. Video is just working so much better. So, you talked about AI to generate videos. Obviously, at the moment, this is not what we would recommend, right? We would always recommend to have someone speaking to the camera, a real human. But we'll see in the future how good it gets, right? If AI gets, we're already at a pretty good level, but if we get even better towards the end of 2026, hopefully that will be a big problem solver for all these companies, not having videos, because we know how complicated it is to have resources internally to create videos. Another problem that I'm seeing is not having a proper CRM or nurturing system in place. When we start generating leads, potentially, leads come in, but then they just get lost, right? There's usually, no one there in the sales team to really look after them. And finally, another challenge is budget, right? So usually companies want to start promoting themselves on LinkedIn and Google Ads, but the budget is just not sufficient in order to have meaningful results. So yeah, not having proper tracking also, it's another problem that we're seeing, and that makes it really complicated, obviously, to measure performance and optimize campaigns effectively. Although that's something we can help with.
Yeah, it's I mean, performance marketing is not rocket science, but you still need to have like the basics in place, how to track the success or not success of a campaign, so you can take initiatives and then see if that actually translates in a better performance. And what you mentioned about nurturing, yeah, you can see, okay, marketers, the goal is to generate leads, and that's like the final step, but actually it's the first, like the starting point. Once you have the lead, once you have that email address, so how can you then move it towards the actual client? And
Yeah.
then there you have like all these steps in between, when nurturing comes into place, and smart nurturing, because it's not just about sending emails, it's about sending relevant emails, it's about segmentation, it's about knowing when to hand them over to sales. So do you see like any patterns that are repeatedly, like common mistakes around like these topics, just sales trying to close too fast, or around nurturing,
Yeah.
or misalignment with marketing and sales?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're talking about nurturing and the sales team. I think the sales team is really much an extension of the marketing team when we're trying to do B2B marketing. And one thing that we're seeing, you just mentioned, is really trying to close the deals too quickly. Basically pushing for demos and signups before the audience is ready. Again, we're going back on this sort of like funnel strategy on LinkedIn, where we can't just go straight ahead and push for demos and signups if the audience is not warm enough. And another one is basically running lead generation campaigns without proper nurturing systems. So that's what we talked about recently, right? So the leads, get cold and eventually potentially get lost. And like I said at the beginning of the answer of your question, the sales team is an extension of the marketing team. And quite often we have a misalignment between those two teams. It's very common, right? The campaigns may generate leads, but if the sales team isn't coordinated to follow up timing or messaging, a lot of potential value is wasted. And I feel like the companies that succeed are the ones who think in terms of full funnel to ensure, marketing, sales, and nurture are working together.
Yeah, when they have shared KPIs and not marketing chasing one KPI, sales chasing another. I once worked in a project where sales had the goal of actually closing leads that are not coming from inbound. So all the leads that marketing was generating were like secondary priority. Obviously, they weren't going to pick up on them. So that's like a classic mismatch. Also, sometimes I feel marketers have a disconnection from what is actually going on in a sales call. So marketers, you should definitely listen in on the sales calls to better understand also objection reasons, understanding like who is the end user, the end. I mean, we do case studies, yeah, but then actually like sitting on the not yet clients gives you a lot of information on how to improve also the assets, the content that you then create for the campaigns to better create this alignment.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually that is something that we often like to have at Kunoichi when we work with clients, is to have sales feedback on the leads. When possible, if the teams are big enough and if they have the resources internally, we like to have some sort of weekly reporting, at least at the beginning, which is really helping us refine the targeting as well.
Yeah, and it's sometimes really difficult to get that feedback.
It's really difficult, but
yeah, and it's
so
also for us
useful.
difficult because then it's like almost tapping into the dark. Yeah, you can have qualified leads based on the criteria, based on the job titles, the company size, the industry. That's like the external, but reason or qualification, but the internal, like what happens with that lead. Do you have like some additional information? That's like where we're in the dark.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, right, when we work on B2B lead acquisition, we should be working on all steps of the funnel, right? That would be the ideal scenario we'd be in. But it's it's obviously
nothing is perfect, but we're getting there. So that's a good closing for the last question. You already said you don't know how to predict the future, but based on your experience and what you're seeing in the projects, if you could make one prediction for B2B marketers for 2026, what would it be?
Yeah, so I think it's on the mind of a lot of marketers at the moment. I think we're going to start seeing AI assistants like, ChatGPT, Gemini, and Claude evolving into ad platforms. Marketers could just reach decision makers at the exact moment they ask a question relevant to the product. Dynamic ads that combine text, images, videos, and track conversions back to the CRM. I feel like we at the beginning of at the moment it's all free, it's all great, AI assistants and AI agents, but there are a lot of talks already of having this platform slowly integrating ads into the systems. So, not so great for the end users, but potential new opportunities for marketers out there. And, we'll see if that is proving relevant also to generate leads. I think we're seeing definitely the biggest opportunity in B2C. But when we see the amount of professionals using ChatGPT in their work environments, or using Gemini in their work environments, I think there's also a massive potential to reach companies and professionals for B2B lead generation.
Yeah, and in the end, to pop up in those search results on LLMs, on these AI platforms, it's if you have a strong brand, and that comes back again with like the basics of visibility on your content and how your website is structured. It's again like the content that you provide about your service, about your product. Is it well structured? Is it coherent across, you know, your socials? Then you will be popping up more on the AI searches. So it's never like one channel or one strategy. It's like this holistic integrated strategy to make a coherent brand visibility and how to spread your message across then the platforms.
Yeah, that's right. Always.
Okay, that's a good wrap up here. So thank you so much, Stefan, for sharing all these practical takeaways and your insights on what is working and hopefully what will be working next year. And that's it for today's Kunichi Expert Talks. If you found that useful, please tag someone or just share or follow us. And we'll see you next time. Thank you.